Going to go ahead and call the Transportation, Highways, Military Affairs Committee to order. Staff, can I have you please call roll?
So roll call vote for February 12, 2026. Representative Banks. Here. Representative Geringer. Here. Representative Larson. Here. Representative McCann.
Here.
Representative Nicholas.
Excused.
Representative Posey.
Here.
Representative Tarver. Here. Representative Wiley.
Excused.
Chairman Brown.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Corey. All right, committee, everybody else in the ether world here. We've got 4 bills. We're going to try to power through them as much as we can. We will still continue to work them. I will ask for public comment to be pithy, direct to the point, and try to limit as much as you can so we can power through these bills as best as possible. So if you are going to say the same thing that the previous commenters have said, I'll ask you to keep that very pithy. And so with that, we will start into the first bill. We have House Bill 26 and Representative Posey. Representative Posey, if you'd like to bring us through this bill, and I see that you have a co-sponsor, Representative Larson, with you as well.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. House Bill 26 basically gives an exemption to tribal vehicles that is afforded to United States, state of Wyoming, county, and we didn't pass others that don't have to pay the tax on that. So this is basically a pretty simple bill, Mr. Chairman. It's just including the Shoshone and Arapaho tribes for their own tribally owned vehicles, government. Thank you.
Seems pretty straightforward. Representative Larson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a little history on that as we met with both business councils on legislative concerns they had. They just posed that question, why do we have to pay for license plates when Whedon passed, the cemetery district, city of Lander, city of everybody else done? We looked at each other and says, so we call, so we make the call and say, how does this work? And just very clear in the statute, and we asked for a little history, and they went back and they just says how, it's just one of those gaps that has existed for generations, frankly, that was never done, and we're trying to rectify that.
Appreciate it. Committee, any questions for Representative Larson and or Posey? Representative Geringer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess this can be a question for either one of you. Do you have any idea how many vehicles we're talking about here?
Representative Larson or Posey, either one?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Geringer, I think we're probably talking 100 at the most, I would think.
Okay. Committee, anything further?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Representative Larson.
And similar to the county, it's across the gamut because they've got trucks, small vehicles, industrial trucks, government.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. With that, I will bring up the department. If the department would like to speak on behalf of this bill. Welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Lacey Bruckner, YDOT Compliance and Investigation. I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you about this bill. In looking through it, the department has no issues or concerns in administering it. It's pretty simple, basic, and the department already provides license plates for all other publicly owned vehicles. We just had one question about the intent for the tribal government vehicles, and that would be, is the intent for those vehicles to also be issued exempt plates like all the other publicly owned vehicles get? State vehicles, YDOT vehicles, game and fish vehicles, all of those exempt plates that you see now on government publicly owned vehicles. The department issues those license plates now. If the intent is for the tribal government vehicles to get exempt plates as well, we might need to add those specifically owned vehicles to a different statute. And I believe you have an amendment for that. The statute number is 31-2 2022-207, and it's titled Publicly Owned Vehicles. And it basically just lists out all of the government entities that the department issues exempt plates to. So just adding the vehicles owned by the tribal governments of the Eastern Shoshone and Northern Arapaho tribes of the Wind River Indian Reservation to that statute in this bill, then it's clear that that's the intent, and I'll just make those plates and distribute them like all the other publicly owned vehicles. And with that, I would stand for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Bruckner. Committee, I'm gonna go ahead and, this is a first for me. Do we have any answers for for Ms. Bruckner here? Representative Larson?
Indeed, we do, Mr. Chairman. I typically reserve the right to be stupid at all times. And we just assumed when we'd done this, it was an automatic magic thing happened. And so appreciate them bringing that to our attention. Well done. We'll make that motion when we do the bill.
Perfect. Thank you. Any further questions for Ms. Bruckner or Wydot? Seeing none, you're off the hot seat. This one was easy.
Thank you.
We'll open this up for public comment. Is there any public comment on House Bill 26? Seeing none and nobody rushing to the mic, we will close public comment, bring the bill back to the dais. Committee, what's your pleasure?
Move the bill.
Moved by Geringer, seconded by Larson. Committee, any amendments?
Mr. Chairman,
Representative Larson.
just ask LSO to put in the 31-2-207 public owned vehicles that upon that application that it include the tribal governments of the Eastern Shoshone and Northern Arapaho tribes of the Wind River Reservation.
Motion made by Representative Larson, seconded by Geringer. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes. Anything further? I'm gonna go back on this and just kind of look back here to see if there's any concerns if we were to make this effective immediately to YDOT. I'm just wondering if we have anything that comes up, they may need to just get that going. I don't see why we'd wait till July to do it, but I'm seeing heads shaking no, so I would entertain a motion on that. I'd entertain a motion. Come on, get it together, Wiley.
Mr. Chairman, long morning, Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we put this in immediately, please.
Second.
Motion by Wiley, seconded by Geringer. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. That motion passes. Anything further? Seeing none, Corey, can you please call roll on House Bill 26 as amended?
This is a roll call vote for House Bill 26 as amended. Representative Banks?
Aye.
Representative Geringer?
Aye.
Representative Larson?
Aye.
Representative McCann?
Aye.
Representative Nicholas?
Excused?
Representative Posey? Vice Chair Tarver?
Aye.
Representative Wiley?
Aye.
Chairman Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 ayes, 1 excused.
Thank you very much, Corey, and I will suspect that the two co-sponsors on this will carry this on the floor. Okay, perfect. That takes us to our next bill. We have House Bill 42. We have Representative Smith here, and we also have Chief of Police and Senator Steinmetz. Welcome. Thank you. I don't know how I missed you in the bright red shirt, so thank you for being here. Representative Smith, when you get settled and ready to roll, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee. Scott Smith, House District Number 5. Today before you, we have House Bill 42. In essence, it is clearing up a gray area in our current law. It is basically the duty to stop vehicles during accidents, especially when there is personal injuries or involving death. On page 2, you will see one of the most controversial things you'll hear in the House, line 1, underline knowingly. And that knowingly protects the people. And it places the burden on law enforcement and the prosecuting attorney. And ways that they would be able to do this, give you 2 different examples of hit and run type deals. If somebody is hit by a vehicle, their body rolls up over, like a pedestrian, rolls up over the hood, smashes the windshield, slams on the brakes, individual falls off and gets ran over, more than likely is knowingly. Somebody attempting suicide by standing on a street corner and a big semi-trailer is driving by and they dive under the rear axles of a loaded semi-truck. They may not feel that, and so they wouldn't knowingly know that they hit that individual. So that's why the knowingly is in there, and those are just two examples. And I will hand it over to Senator Steinmetz, if that is all right, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Steinmetz, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sherry Steinmetz, Senate District 3. And a pleasure to be on the House side already this early in the session. I did just want to call your attention to the definitions in section on page 2, line 14 through 18, and then 19 through 22. There are definitions and that stepped up penalties. So in the first one, 61104 AI, that is bodily injury, a cut, abrasion, burn, temporary disfigurement, physical pain, or impairment of the function of a bodily member, organ, or faculty. So that's a lesser degree than the bodily injury under the next section, which is referenced on the next page, actually. I gave you the wrong page reference. It's 61104 AX. And that is the serious bodily injury definition. And that's the substantial risk of death, causes severe protracted physical pain, and on and on. So you kind of get the differentiation between the two penalties and why we've separated those out. I think on the Senate side, the word knowingly and those two differentiations will be important. It was last year where that bill failed in Senate Judiciary. So we had some help from them this year, and I hope that we can all see fit to pass this important piece of legislation.
Chief, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Matt Johnson. I have the privilege of serving the community of Torrington as the Chief of Police. Thank you for letting me speak. We've had two really horrific hit and run accidents in our community since 2021. The victims in both of these cases were pedestrians. In both of the cases, they would match the description that Representative Smith had, where the person was struck by the vehicle, literally up on top of the car, shaken off the car, and then the driver drove away. They were both ladies who were literally left broken and dying in the roadway while the hit and run driver fled the scene. Fortunately, both of those victims were ladies of exceptional fortitude, and they fought through and survived horrific injuries, but they're still suffering from those today, and they're quite significant. Those tragedies fell into a unique loophole in Wyoming statute, which is why we're here today. And it really doesn't cover the severity of the crime or anything close to what's appropriate for that type of an event. And I know that this has been an issue in many other communities in Wyoming as well. We're really grateful for these two folks for helping us to work on that. Currently, if the driver of a motor vehicle accidentally causes serious bodily injury or death to another person, and then they leave the scene of that accident, they are likely to only be criminally liable for whatever traffic violation caused the accident and for the misdemeanor charge of hit and run. That would be it, even if the circumstances we've already described happened. This occurs because the driver did not intend to cause the injury. They only intended to leave the scene, which is a substantive difference from a prosecution and law enforcement standpoint. In some cases, these circumstances might also have the unintended consequence of encouraging an intoxicated driver to leave the scene of the accident. This occurs because if an intoxicated driver causes death or serious bodily injury and then flees the scene, they're subsequently not found by law enforcement in a rapid fashion and investigated for DUI. By the time we get a hold of that person and seek to prosecute them, the only criminal solution that may be available at that point is, again, whatever traffic infraction they broke to cause the accident and a misdemeanor charge of hit and run. That is a stark difference between a 20-year felony for vehicular homicide and a 10-year felony for a felony DUI that caused serious bodily injury. Substantive difference. The amendment that we're proposing would change the hit and run statute to include drivers that did not have intent to cause the injury, but did have intent to leave the scene. And it would make it a felony charge if the hit and run driver caused serious bodily injury or death, which seems highly appropriate in the cases that we've seen across the state. The two incidents that we dealt with in our community demonstrated an extreme indifference to human life. Almost unbelievable. I can still see the videos of both of those events were captured partially or completely on video, and I can still see those in my head. We hope that this proposed legislation will be approved to close the loophole in Wyoming statute, provide justice for families and victims, and help prevent tragedies like this in the future. My final comment would be that I know Alan Thompson is tied up with another meeting, but WISECUP and their membership does support this in full. I'd be happy to answer any questions if I could.
Committee, any questions for Chief, Representative, or the Senator?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Representative Wiley.
This question's to the chief. You're familiar with the language in the bill pretty throughout?
Yes, sir.
So if we go to page 2, line 11, do you have an idea why we're removing the verbiage upon conviction?
Chief?
I don't. I'm not sure if that's substantive. I know some statutes reference upon conviction and some do not. I don't, unless either of the folks on either side of me that are more informed than I do have an objection. I don't have an objection to that being in the bill.
Anything further? Seeing none, thank you three for being here. Do appreciate you bringing this bill again. I think it's number 3. I think I've seen this. So yeah, and they always say it takes 3 times for a good bill to get through. So appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Go ahead and call up any department, any state department. Colonel? Welcome, Colonel Cameron. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, and the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colonel Tim Cameron, I'm the Administrator of the Wyoming Highway Patrol. I appreciate the committee taking this up. I'll be very brief. I concur with the statements and recommendations of the chief. I'm here more in support of this bill, and I know that this is his 3rd attempt, but worthy. I would say that we've reviewed this bill. I have no concerns about it and think it would be favorable in reducing and holding people accountable. Also gives us the ability to engage the public with this change in an educational standpoint. Be glad to answer any questions.
Committee, any questions for the Colonel? Seeing none, appreciate your time.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much. Any other state agencies? Seeing none, any public testimony on this? Do I have anybody online for this particular bill?
At this moment, I only have one person online and they are going to be testifying on House Bill 67.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, we will close public comment. We'll bring the bill back to the dais. Committee, what is your pleasure?
Bill.
Moved by Representative Banks, seconded by Geringer. Committee, let's work the bill quickly. We are on, I'm just going to move us right to page 2. I have a sense there's probably going to be a
Mr. Chairman.
Representative Wiley.
I would like to bring a motion to retain the word upon conviction, line 11, page 2.
Second.
Moved by Wiley, seconded by Larson. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I would only pause because I thought Representative Wiley.
Thank you.
I apologize, Mr. Chairman. I only paused because I think Representative Wiley's was a great catch there. Just if we had any of our legal staff that drafted this that could tell us why they struck it, but we can figure that out later if we've done something wrong.
So Representative Larson, I hate to break it to you. You've been on appropriations far too long where you guys had legal staff at your beck and call. We don't get that down here. So with that, any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Representative Larson.
how'd that taste?
All right. Seeing no further discussion, motion is to reinsert stricken language on page 2, line 11 upon conviction. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. That motion passes. Anything further on page 2? Page 3. Seeing none? Question being called. Please call roll on House Bill 42 as amended.
Mr. Chairman, this is a roll call vote for House Bill 42 as amended. Representative Banks,
Aye.
Representative Geringer,
Aye.
Representative Larson.
Aye.
Representative McCann.
Aye.
Representative Nicholas,
Excused?
Representative Posey.
Aye.
Vice Chair Tarver,
Aye.
Representative Wiley.
Aye.
Chairman Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that is 8 ayes and 1 excused.
Thank you very much, Corey. Thank you very much, Representative Smith. I presume you'll be taking this on the floor? Sure. All right. All right, committee, we're doing all right here. We're moving right on through. I've got House Bill 67 next. And I see two good representatives here, Representative Connolly. I've been waiting forever to do that. Representative Connolly and Representative Filer. You would please walk us through the bill. Please
Certainly.
introduce yourself first.
Representative Connolly, House District 49. And I'm here today, with your permission, Mr. Chairman, to request favorable support for this bill that it's an exemption for property tax. There's a current bill there already. But what it does is it includes Air and Army Guard. So, you know, Wyoming has this proud tradition of honoring military service. And there's people that have been in military service right now that aren't allowed to take advantage of this exemption. So there are members that serve our state and our nation and with commitment and risk, and they deploy overseas, respond to domestic crisis, and are often the first on the ground when the Wyoming faces wildfires, floods, winter storms, and other emergencies. And yet, under the current law, many of these service members are excluded from the benefit intended to honor their service. So we started off this morning in a very positive manner. It was just awesome. I almost wanted to sign up for the Guard myself, but you got to hear how important and what kind of heroes and folks we have in our Air and Army Guard, how they help with search and rescue, and they do all kinds of things in their communities. And I'll say this, the reason I wanted to see this thing through is because Army and Air Guards and other veterans that have committed their service that don't fall into this existing bill right now, it's like they had a check. And when they signed up, they wrote a check to the United States of America and Wyoming. And the dollar amount on that check was my life. They're willing to give their life just as much as any other soldier or military person. So I think there's a number of reasons why this would be a good bill. We do have some amendments, and I also have a letter that you guys should have read or had available. And I ask your favorable support for this bill.
Thank you, Representative Connolly. Committee, any questions for Representative Connolly? Representative Larson, please.
So Representative Conley, having served here a while and having had conversations on this a number of times, I know this is like, it becomes very tender because we love our veterans. 18 months is not a lot of time. And so if you could help me understand how you come by that number, because the impact they could serve 18 months and then receive this veterans exemption for 70 years. And so help us understand that a little bit.
Representative Connolly?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Representative Larson, that you'll have an amendment in your that will be proposed. And current law, I think, has 24 months in it, and that will go back to 24 months. And may I have to talk about the amendment right now?
Absolutely. If you'd
Okay.
like to.
All right, so the first amendment would be to add the residency was in the original bill, legislation was 3 years. So the talk after visiting with the veterans was that should go back to 3 years. It's 1 year now, but that should be stricken out and returned to the original 3 years. And then where it talks about honorably discharged, we need to add for a generally discharged veteran because there's a difference. They're both honorable, but there is a big difference. And then the 18-month in there would go back to 24. And then the effective date would be July 1 of 26. And on page 4, line 2, where it says January 1st of 26, we would insert January 1st of 27. So I hope that answers your questions about that.
Question?
Follow up?
Thank you. Representative Conley, on page 1 of your amendment, where you talk about appropriating $5 million, I'm trying to understand why you're taking that from the LSRA and not just have it general funds. If we're going to appropriate it for the general operations of state government, I think we ought to just plan on it being an appropriation from the general fund and not taking from a savings account.
Representative Connolly?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Larson. That was kind of debatable about what would be the best way to do that, because there may be times when that comes out of the treasurer's office and we needed to make sure that this doesn't, but in the original statutes, this reimbursement that exists right now for the veterans is, it's my understanding that this treasurer's office handles that. And so in talking with the treasurer's office, we needed to be able to have a way for some type of pass through, and then this piece here is to cover if there's not enough money in the fund, so that we keep the treasurer's office from having, am I explaining that okay? But as far as taking it out of the LISRA account or general fund, if it can come out of the general fund, I'd be happy to have somebody amend that.
Mr. Chairman.
Follow up.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would just suggest, and certainly could be wrong, but the treasurer's office is just the administrator. We appropriate the funds, and so we take a fixed amount and we estimate what the drop down will be, and then we give that, and the treasurer then reimburses the county treasurers, right? And if we didn't appropriate enough, then the treasurer has to make up from that.
Yes.
And so, so I think what you're trying to say is if we don't have if we didn't estimate enough, they need to be able to come back.
Correct.
And in that case, Mr. Chairman, I think that this works well. I just need to read that a little bit again, because I think.
So Representative Larson, did I just watch you walk all the way around in your own head? And
You
get back to-
did. Indeed, you did.
It was fun.
Indeed,
we all enjoyed
indeed
that.
you did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Representative Connolly.
also, this really does not hurt the counties or it keeps them whole.
Okay. Committee, any further questions for Representative Connolly? So Representative Connolly, I have one. As I pull up statute here and I'm looking here, I've been on this committee for 10 years and I do not remember personally, and I could be wrong here, but I do not remember seeing us open the gates to anything other than honorable discharge. And I'm sure we will probably have the Veterans Commission help us out with that. But is there a discussion as to why we decided to open this up for a generally discharged veteran? Because current statute everywhere else does do honorable discharge. What was your thinking on that?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. In talking with my veteran folks in my district, they felt like generally should be added because otherwise it excludes, they may have a medical discharge or something like that that's still honorable, but it might take them out of the formula as well. So that's why it was considered.
Thank you. That clears it up. Committee, anything further for Representative Connolly? Representative Posey.
Thank you, Chairman. And I think that the definition is general under honorable conditions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Generally speaking, it is. And it does typically have that. And I think what she said clears it up for me. So anything further? Seeing none, Representative Filer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lee Filer, State Representative for House District 44, veteran of the Air National Guard. I'm coming here in support of this bill as a co-sponsor and maybe to answer any more questions because Representative Connolly did a wonderful job. I mean, a great job. You did a good job explaining this bill. But what I want to emphasize is a lot of our veterans get this exemption and it's usually service related through a type of service medal, whether it be, Operation Desert Storm or some type of conflict or war. Right now, when we're not within those timeframes where we're not in an actual war, you have a lot of those service members that are kind of stuck in that limbo area where they could be called at any time if there's a war that breaks out or anything like that, but they're called to do other stuff too, whether it's fight fires, drop hay in the fields during snowstorms out of C-130s. There's just so many things that they do. And as we heard this morning when the general came to the floor with those folks, we hear about the other heroic, I don't know why I'm messing up today. Things that they do in our state. So to maybe not just, broaden this a little bit better to allow this exemption for those folks because they might serve 2, 3, 4, even up to 6 years and never have that conflict to get that medal. If we are in a conflict, those medals are given out right outside of basic training. You automatically get that medal for in that conflict. So I think that this actually opens it up to those service members actually are willing to do all those things that other service members did, but maybe never got the chance because we weren't in that conflict at the time. Also on the 2-year, 24 months as far as service, I would say probably 75% of the people that first enlist into the Wyoming Air National Guard or Army usually do a 6-year enlistment because then they get a lot more benefits as far as in-state tuitions, assistance, and those types of things. So the 2 years, I don't think is ever really going to affect it too much because I think most will be at least serving 6 years at a time. But I'll stand for any other questions you guys got because she did a great job.
Committee, any questions for Representative Filer? Representative Filer, thank you for your service. Appreciate it. And we'll let you guys off the hot seat. Representative Posey, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think with the amendment on page 2, line 14, we should spell out that general under honorable, whatever that wording is. I think we need to really include the honorable under that portion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and bring the tag up. And Tim, why don't we bring you up at the same time? I don't want to say kill 2 birds with 1 stone because that just sounds bad when you're bringing up 2 people. So that's right. You were a full bird. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for being here. If I can please have you state your name for the record and the floor is yours.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. It's good to see everybody. For the record, my name is Major General Greg Porter and I serve as the Adjutant General for the state of Wyoming.
Jim.
Good afternoon, everyone. Tim Shepard, Executive Director for the Wyoming Veterans Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. First off, I'd like to thank Representative Conley and Representative Filer and her constituency for bringing the bill forward. Certainly something that would benefit our guardsmen. And probably that's where I would start, was this idea of wherever this goes, that we treat our members the same way, whether they're an active component member or a guard member. As you heard this morning, our members continue to sacrifice for a tremendous amount of time. And of two of those, of the three stories I said this morning, two of those instances would not have qualified for an exemption. So I would just ask the very as the Representative Larson said, the very tender discussion about who the pool of people should this apply to, that we take our guardsmen and women into account. Those of you that you've served on the committee, you understand the military affairs. An Army guardsman in Wyoming can expect over a 20-year career to deploy, 2 to 3 times for 2 to 5 years in total. Same with the Air Guard. They'll spend much faster, but over a 20-year career, they could deploy as many as 8 or 9 times. A lot of time away from family and friends and their jobs. They continue to sacrifice all the time. And if you think about what it takes to be a leader now in the Wyoming Guard, you go into your day job, much like you, and then at night when you come home, you got to get on the email and you got to go working through all those personnel issues, what's going on with China, all the things that it takes to become a member of the National Guard. It's just another sacrifice. So I would just say that our men and women that serve in the Guard are every bit as deserving as anybody else. And that's not to denigrate our active component brothers and sisters. Our folks deserve the same recognition. The second point I would just say, sir, is what a great retention tool this is for us, and a recruiting tool for us. As you've heard me say, that is my number one priority, is end strength, and we are in desperate need of tools to attract and keep our members. What a nice incentive this would be for our men and women to have this as part of the veterans population. I'm certainly willing to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you.
Committee, any questions for the general? General, I sat with you when you were still wearing 1 star there, and I'm going to ask you to go back a couple of years, and I'm sitting here trying to go through everywhere that I can, and I did just find an area where it does say honorable discharge or honorably discharged. We've actually got multiple different definitions. Can you give me your thoughts on the fact that we've rarely done general discharge versus honorable discharge? And my biggest concern here with this is the confliction of statute, that we'll give this to honorable members that were active, but general members that were active aren't going to get the same specifics.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. When you look at a discharge from the armed forces, it generally falls into 4 areas. One is honorable discharge. Number 2 is general under honorable conditions. Then 3 is other than honorable. And then 4 is a dishonorable discharge. A dishonorable discharge can only be given in a court-martial proceeding. OTH, other than honorable, can only be done by a service secretary. I have the ability as the Adjutant General to characterize general and honorable. It's certainly debatable on whether to include general under honorable, but it is an honorable discharge. And there are circumstances where, at the no fault of the soldier or the airman, they maybe have a general discharge. The correct terminology, as Representative Posey said, is it's honorable under general conditions, or general under honorable conditions, excuse me. So it certainly is debate. I feel pretty comfortable that an individual that was discharged from the armed forces under general under honorable we would not be ashamed of that service, sir.
So I'm just looking here, General, I've got probably 4 different areas here, and we actually spell it out here. The discharge was under an honorable discharge or a discharge under honorable conditions. I'm thinking if we try to tie those together, is there any concern with that?
No, sir. Matter of fact, sir, I would encourage that.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you. Mr. Shepherd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm here today on behalf of Wyoming's veterans, service members, and their families. And we're all in support of House Bill 0067. In the vein of being pithy, I think between Representative Conley and Representative Filer, and then with the Adjutant General, I think we've pretty well covered the bill. So I would stand for any questions.
Appreciate the pithiness. Thank you. Any questions for the Veterans Commission? Seeing none. Thank you, gentlemen. I think the next section we've got here is everybody that was getting ready to stand up. Yeah, absolutely. Bill, I'm going to have you just step back because what we're going to do is not yet. I'm going to take all the city and county, or I'm sorry, county and state departments first. Good morning. Well, I guess we're afternoon now. We're way into
think
the
it is
afternoon.
afternoon,
I don't
Chairman
know
Brown.
how I thought this was morning, but
Thank you for allowing the county assessors to visit with you. My name is Dixie Huxtable. I am the Converse County Assessor, and I have with me the Laramie County Assessor who knows a whole lot more about this topic than I do. I do want to appreciate the conversations that we've had with Representative Conley and Filer about this bill. We did have a couple of concerns regarding the administration of the bill, and that's what we'd like to address with you today. One was the dates, and to make sure I understand the amendment, because I haven't seen the amendment, but to make sure I understood that correctly, it would become effective July 1st of 2026, according to the amendment. Is that, if we understand that correctly, that works for us? Certainly going back in time is not going to work for us for January 1st of 26. We've already got veterans who've applied and all that. So just for your information, the veterans program, that exemption year runs basically from June 1st to June 1st. Because they have to be submitted by the fourth Monday in May. So June 1st, July 1st, whatever that is, as long as it's not January 1st, we're comfortable with that. Going back to the 3 years, we're comfortable with the administration of all that and the 24 months. The part that we do have an issue with, and I may ask my colleague to speak up here in a minute, is the part on page 3 when it talks about an active or reserve member. And then as it moves on down to line 10 and it talks about good standing and defining good standing, my concern as an assessor was to go to the Veterans Commission, ask them, what are the documents in place for this? So all I have to do is ask the veteran that comes to my counter, I need that certificate you get. The problem was we didn't have a good definition and we don't have a good answer for that right now. There is a document, as I understand it, that may be available for the National Guard, but that may not be available to the active armed forces people currently. And this is a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but that is important to us that we have that availability. So we had asked if it would be considered to be an interim topic on that portion, just that portion with the active. Let us do some vetting of that and make sure we all understand that we have that form in place with the government and the armed forces so that we can treat everybody fairly across the board when the taxpayers come in. So with that, I will turn it over to my colleague from Laramie County, and he can maybe explain a little bit more of our concerns with that, and then we would stand for any questions.
thank you, Dixie. Before I turn it over, any questions for Dixie? Seeing none. Thank you, Dixie. My favorite constituent from House District 9.
Todd Ernst, Laramie County Assessor, Chairman. Pretty much what Dixie said, I won't go over, but we did have some concerns on page 3, line 10, where it says in good standing. That can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. I know we talked to Tim Shippard, and we kind of discussed maybe for that part, we would go a good year. But then again, like Dixie said, we couldn't figure out how we could put that in active duty folks. So all the active duty folks, how could we, because they don't have a good year, they're 24/7, 365. So that's where our concerns were. And that's why we thought it would be a good idea to maybe lay it back for an interim, get our active duty folks involved with our National Guard folks involved, and get some good language and get some good process to maybe move forward next year on this. I'll stand. Just that portion. Yep, just that portion. The rest of it, we're ready to work with it and put it into production. But yeah, so any questions at all? That's all.
Any questions for Todd? Mr. Ernst? I have one. My biggest concern is this disproportionately affects Laramie County more than anywhere else. Granted, we have Air Guard and Army Guard veterans throughout the state, but disproportionately, this is going to impact your office. What I'm looking at is we see the cost associated with what it's going to be in returns that we're going to hear from the Department of Revenue. What does this look like from your side of the counter when somebody goes to file this, and what kind of office work does this require on your side? And when we're starting to talk about, I think one of the pieces I saw here, it was on the fiscal note, was an additional 46,000 minus the 19,000 that are already involved in this. I mean, that's another 25,000 people that could potentially coming in claiming this. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, Chairman, it definitely will put an impact on my office. We have an impact with the long-term homeowners already, the homeowners long-term. So, but that's why the date for July 1 will definitely be a big help. And of course, it falls in line with our veterans where they can get their plates and stuff. But it is going to take a lot more time to sign up these veterans. Right now, we have about 5,700 veterans. Just with this opening it up, it's going to open it a lot. So it'll put a lot more pressure on it. But the way we work vets right now within our system in Laramie County, because every county is a little different, we can handle it, but it is going to put an impact on our office. That is for sure.
Okay. And do I have any county treasurers here? I don't think so. I don't see any. Okay. I appreciate that. Any further? Yes, Representative Geringer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm trying to understand what you want to study in the interim topic. Is it, are you suggesting that we pull out the entire section that says an active or reserve member who is in good standing, or just the portion that says good standing and that following definition?
Either one.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Guerra, I believe that both of those sections would need to come out. The good standing is the definition for the portion up above. And we're just asking that that part on page 3 from probably line 1 through line 15, excuse me, be the part that gets on the interim study so we can get all the logistics worked out so we can make sure that we treat everybody good. The first part, page 2, absolutely, we're good with that. Honorably discharged, opening that up, we can handle that. We just need to do a little bit more study on that active and reserve member of the Wyoming National Guard, and then in the good standing portion, get that sorted out.
Follow up?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I guess then since we're also considering making the exemption apply to the tax year beginning January 1st, 2027, is it okay to leave the language in here right now, considering that we're going to look at that? We may look at that as an interim topic. What I'm trying to do is make sure that we have at least in place the ability to give that exemption to our active members and not have to insert that later. If we need to work on the language of the good standing, we still have that time during the interim, then we can adjust that next session. But I'm hesitant to actually pull the entire thing out that would affect those active or reserve members. So if I'm understanding correctly, if we were to wait and if we were to leave this in right now and talk about that good standing definition and how that applies during the interim, then we could just address that little specific definition in the interim and adjust it as necessary in the next session and still not have an issue with the implementation in 2027. Am I being clear, or is that a little confusing?
Mr. Chairman, Representative,
Please.
a little bit confused. I'm back to this being effective July 1st of 2026 is what I understood, because this Veterans Year it'll start June 1st. So we'll start accepting applications June 1st. I need to be able to have a definition of what good standing and be able to express that to the taxpayers to what I'm asking them for. And that's the part that I don't know. So that's why we thought if we had that as the interim, then that could be, the active part could be put in next year, effective with the next year. I know that we talked about January 1st, but the tax year for the veterans exemption actually starts June 1st. July 1st is probably as close as we get to that with this. So I don't know how to handle the people in between that gap. And I don't know how to answer the question about good standing, especially after I had that conversation with the Veterans Commission with Mr. Shepherd about what does that mean? And we couldn't get it resolved. We just didn't have an answer right now.
Well, and I will say that's luckily, that's not your job. That's up to us. So I do agree. I think that's a good interim topic, and I have an idea of what we can do with it. If the committee's up for it, when we work the bill, we'll kind of see what your guys' preference is. We'll speak with the sponsor of the bill as well. Any further questions for our assessors? Seeing none. Thank you very much both for being here. Department of Revenue. Mr. Gill, welcome. I don't know that I've ever actually had you in front of the Transportation Committee, but welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, not very often in front of transportation. Going to my fiscal note that we did on this, there's a big assumption here that every one of these expanded veteran program own a home. So, but as you know, on this veterans exemption, they can use it on their license plates too, against the ad valorem tax on license plates. So I did not make that adjustment for license plates versus homes. So just wanted you to know that. So that 27,000 might be a little high of expanding in this program. We know that in Wyoming, about 72% of the households in Wyoming are owner occupied. So, which would be a requirement for the veterans exemption on the home. So I just thought I'd clear that up a little bit. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
I appreciate that, Tim. Thank you very much. Committee, any questions for Mr. Gill with the Department of Revenue on the fiscal note impacts, anything along those lines? Seeing none, nice and easy on you. Thank you, Ken. I feel like we should call it Director Fanning just cause, but we won't do it. All right. Any other state agencies? Seeing none, we will go ahead and open this up for public comment. Mr. Winnie, if you'd like to come up, and anybody else who is interested, please come up and fill the chairs. We'll just go right down the line as these come about. Mr. Winnie, please introduce yourself. The floor is yours, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Bill Winnie, Sublette County. I'm here to speak to you for a couple reasons. First of which, after 30 years of active duty and having taken Wyoming as my home state in 1978, bought my land in Wyoming in the mid-90s and built a house on it in 2005, I discovered I wasn't eligible for the veterans property tax exemption until 2009. So I had to live there for those 3 years, as the thing says. And so I support the idea of shortening it up. I have another little talk for you. You're struggling with the issue of honorable discharge versus honorable conditions. And honorable conditions is the better phrase to use in there. If you look at a DD 214, in the bottom very right-hand corner, you will find a characterization of either discharge or separation from service or whatever. I do not have a discharge certificate. I was never discharged. I am subject to recall. But it does say honorable conditions down in that little corner. And that'll get you to a lot of things. You have a number of discharges. You haven't hit them all. Of course, you have honorable, you have general. General is under honorable conditions. It means you had a pretty good record, but it wasn't perfect, but it's honorable conditions. You have entry-level separation, where somebody is separated in the first few months because they had something defective about their enlistment or whatever. You have a medical. Somebody can have a medical discharge, and that be under honorable conditions. You also have other than honorable, answers your question. You have a bad conduct discharge or a dishonorable discharge, both of which are awarded by a courts martial. And so you get into that, and you're struggling with that issue of honorable conditions versus the more far narrower term of honorable discharge. I mean, remember, an enlisted person signs a contract. When the contract is over, he's free and clear. That's different than a commissioned officer, as I've already described with me. So if you can hook it to that lower right-hand corner of the DD 214, I think you would save yourself a lot of time. Another thing you can run into, you've struggled with the National Guard. What do you do with a member of the Guard who serves and only does state active duty? They're never under Title 10, so they're never federalized. They might be under Title 32, where they're still under the governor's control, but They are paid for by the feds. And so how do you handle that? And because they merit something too, I think. They're the ones, like you've already noted, they're out there flying the aircraft that fight fires. We had some called to state active duty for the spring flood in Riverton some years ago. They were never federalized, and that won't show up as federal service. When you're kind of getting wrapped around the axle when you use honorable discharge with federal service versus a member of the Guard. And so I don't propose to be the expert on the National Guard side of it. I do have a son and a daughter-in-law that are in the Guard, but how that would affect this or retirement, I don't know. At any rate, subject to your questions, I hope that's clear as mud.
Mr. Winnie, appreciate you being here. Committee, is there any questions for Mr. Winnie? Seeing none, thank you very much. Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Wes Gardner. I'm a Teton County Commissioner, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the WCCA in support of this bill. And we appreciate the conversation around the state reimbursement, and that's as pithy as I can be. Thank you,
That
sir.
is beautiful. I am very appreciative of that. Thank you very much. Committee, any further questions? Seeing none. Okay. Is there any further public testimony? I think I have one online. I got too many papers here. I can't remember what the name was. I'm sorry.
We have John Zorbas ready to testify online.
Mr. Zorbas, if you would like to testify, please turn on your camera and unmute yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name's John Zorbas. I'm a resident of Johnson County, and I'm one of Ms. Connolly's constituents that helped her look at this bill. A couple of things, I'll try to be brief. 31-year veteran of the Marine Corps, active duty Army, Army Reserve, Army National Guard. So I understand a lot of the intricacies between the Guard and active duty. Concerning the phrase "in good standing," that can be easily verified each year with that Guard member's retirement year ending statement. And that was my intent when I was helping Ms. Connolly, is we would have that Guard member bring in his retirement year ending statement, which he's issued every year. And if he's had a good year for retirement, which means he showed up to all of his drills and annual training and met his requirements, it would show another year. And every year they keep adding to that document. So he would have to have and that's what that definition would be. Now, for active duty to demonstrate good standing, that would be a current active duty ID card and a leave and earnings statement. In that leave and earnings statement, it will show how they have accrued another year for retirement, which means they're not in the clink, they're not AWOL, and there's also a block in there where you can missing time, and that's for the soldiers who are AWOL. So there are documents that are out there that are given to the soldiers annually that can answer those questions directly. And I hope that can help clear that up. As far as the National Guard soldier, when he retires, he's issued an NGB 22, which is the Guard equivalent of a DD 214, which can be used to verify his service. I currently have a son in the 3rd Infantry Division in Fort Stewart, Georgia, a Wyoming native. If he was to buy property right now, he would not be eligible. He just spent 9 months in Poland in a show of force and stability mission. And within his brigade, 3 soldiers drowned in a tank recovery vehicle. The reason I'm telling the committee and you, Mr. Chairman, this is peacetime doesn't mean soldiers don't die and that their lives and their bodies aren't sacrificed. And so that's why I'm encouraging the committee to accept this and push it forward because we all serve, and we all serve with our whole life. Some of us give it all at once. Some of us, it takes a lifetime. And as far as the cost, I know there's a budget cost thing there, but as a veteran myself, having had that tax deduction, I didn't put it in savings. I took it out and spent it in my community. So those tax dollars do come back to our communities. They do come back to the state through the sales tax of what we buy when we get that tax deduction. I do have some examples of soldiers who have lost their lives during the Cold War in Germany. 1955, mid-air collision killed 66 personnel in West Germany. And same thing with our Guard soldiers. It's not up to us as soldiers to determine when or where we go to war. I just hope that we can honor their sacrifice by not dividing them and then giving all of our veterans this tax exemption. And I'm available for any questions, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Zorbas. Appreciate you. Appreciate your service to our country. Committee, any questions for Mr. Zorbas? Seeing none, we'll let you off nice and easy as well. Appreciate you testifying on this bill, and thank you for working with Representative Connolly on this and working to get this going. Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Any further public testimony? Seeing none, we will close public testimony. We will bring the bill back to the dais. Committee, what's your pleasure? Moved by Geringer, seconded by Banks. Committee, we've got, let's start with the proposed amendment. We've actually got that here, and you have a copy of that, Corey, correct? So let's work from that, and I'll take a motion and entertain a motion on the proposed amendment. Okay, moved by Larson, seconded by Banks. All right, so committee, let's work this amendment as it goes here. I personally have a work here, but I will see if there's any other discussion on any of the information that is provided to us by Representative Connolly. Mr. Chairman. Representative Geringer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we jump to page 2, line 14, if we would add in, instead of the proposed language on line 18 of the amendment, we would instead say after veteran, insert or a veteran discharged under honorable conditions, generally or a veteran discharged under general honorable conditions.
I think if it's friendly, I'll wait for a second. Seconded by Larson. I think the language, just to mirror current and existing statute, would be or a discharge under honorable conditions. That mirrors existing language. So it's almost identical, but I will make sure I get that down with Corey. Is that good with the motion bringer in the second? Okay. Committee, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of page 2, line 18, striking a generally discharged veteran and inserting a discharge under honorable conditions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. That motion passes.
Mr. Chairman,
Representative Geringer.
that would also need to be on page 2, line 14 as well.
Page 2, line 14. Wait for.
Oh, sorry.
Seconded by Larson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. That motion passes. Anything further, committee? Seeing none on the proposed amendment, all those in favor of proposed amendment with the amendments. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. That motion passes. Is there any further discussion on the bill? Let's walk through it. Let's go to page 2. We have amended that heavily. Let's move over to page 3, which is kind of the hangup that our assessors have asked us to take a look at. Any discussion on that and proposed amendments?
Mr. Chairman,
Representative Geringer.
Mr. Chairman, I'm still struggling with taking out the active or reserve members, to discuss that through the interim process. I really would like to have this moving forward. And maybe, I don't know if we need some additional information or not, but the gentleman that testified online mentioned that there's a form at the end of the year, the retirement form, and if we could clarify that language, I would, I guess, move an amendment that would say in the definition, good standing means an active, let's see, that would be inserted maybe at the end of line 15 as evidenced by, and get the formal name for that retirement certification, or that retirement statement, I should say.
Okay, I've got a kind of a rough amendment. Is there a second on that? Seconded by Tarver. Committee, do you want to discuss that? Representative Wiley?
Mr. Chairman, I think it's a good motion, but we also could have time once it hits the floor to give everybody some time to chew it through and make sure that we get our language correct as well.
That's true. Mr. Chairman, I respectfully withdraw that amendment.
Moved. Okay, that motion has been withdrawn. Committee, I will propose an amendment that I think might actually work. We'll see what you guys think on this, but let's go to, I'm going to make this broad and go over everything that I'm going to do at the same time. But on page 2, page 3, line 2, we will strike out who is in good standing. That eliminates the definition of needing to have good standing down below. So I would also strike lines 8 through 15. And also who is in good standing with line 6. And then what we would add is an active or reserve member of the Wyoming National Guard with Wyoming National Guard shall provide a leave and earnings statement within the past 30 days. And that would be something, ooh, I'm getting some cringes back there.
The 30 days is probably the most recent, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please, thank you for turning on your mic.
Yeah, it would seem to me that the 30-day thing could be problematic because it could fall in the middle and they might get that at some point. I don't know when they get it, but could you make it more general and say with the most recent? I don't know maybe where that is, but is that 30-day timeframe a problem?
So let's do this. I will back up my motion a little bit and I will remove the language. So here's what I would like to do, committee, is I would like to strike the who is in good standing portions and get rid of the lines 8 through 15. So I'll make that motion. Seconded by Larson. Committee, the discussion on that is let's get rid of the confusing language for the time being. That leaves the active and guard reserve members in the bill, as Representative Geringer is interested in. It also allow us to potentially make the amendment out on the floor to get the language correct and something with Veterans Commission and Military Department to get something that is as close to the current pay stub or whatever that may look like. So we can have that for the assessors, that we might be able to get that in there, and we will still work with our assessors to see if that still works or not. But that's my motion. Any further discussion? Representative Geringer?
Mr. Chairman, I understand your point, but I do think that just removing good standing from this is not quite the right way to go too, because we want to present an amendment on the floor that does include good standing with that proper certification. And so I would hesitate to take that out and then just add it back in with different language on the floor. I think, again, if we come to the floor with a better amendment, all already put together, that might be a good idea.
Representative Banks?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I would agree with my colleague here. I think our starting point needs to leave the language in because I think it was pretty, I don't know, I was comfortable with the gentleman who represented on the TV that said, it's easy. It's easy to clarify this. We could do it. There's a form. And so I think if we need to add a couple of things into that, I think that would be my preference, and then removing it because we don't know what'll happen on the floor if we'll be able to get it back in.
Okay. My favorite thing is being chairman. I get to sit up here and watch everybody out in the audience, and I watch the glaring eyes across the area here when we're talking about this, and I'm seeing a lot of it. It's not that easy. It's not as easy as we think it is. And I think, from this side of the dais, we tend to put a lot of exerted pressure on, offices that we don't know what in the world they do on a daily basis. So, committee, we've got the motion on the floor. We've got the second. I'll just go ahead and we'll leave the vote, open. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Not even myself. All those opposed, no?
No.
All right, so that motion fails. So we will keep that language in there. I think with the assessors, I think what we'll try to do between assessors, you guys will see if we can come up with something. And if not, we'll have the commitment that we'll at least try to work on this we'll make sure that this bill is cleaned up and hits the other chamber nice and solid. Committee, any further discussion on the bill? Any other proposed amendments? Seeing none, question being called. Corey, if I can have you please call roll on House Bill 67 as amended.
This is a roll call vote for House Bill 67 as amended. Representative Banks?
Aye.
Representative Geringer?
Aye.
Representative Larson? Representative McCann? Representative Nicholas?
Excused?
Representative Posey? Vice Chair Tarver?
Aye.
Representative Wiley? Chairman Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 ayes, 1 excused.
Thank you, Corey. Representative Connolly, I propose that you take this one out on the floor, but I think you've got at least 8 members up here that are going to help you back clean up on that and try to get this one through. And I think you've got quite a few members here that are interested in working with you to try to get a good amendment out on the floor. Thank you, Representative Connolly. Thank you, everybody who's here for that. Appreciate you guys. Also, my apologies for the drawn-out debate this morning that put your guys' fantastic morning into an afternoon, and now you guys can head back to work. I do see Director Johansson here. I think this is only the second time that I've ever had him in front of our committee. So, Representative Larson, I'm going to have you take the hot seat for the last bill. We've got 26 minutes to work this guy out. While he's taking that, we'll let the room clear out. Because he was here. Representative Larson, thank you for joining us for a second bill. I'll turn it over to you. Please reintroduce yourself for this bill for the record.
I could, and could I didn't have a second picture. No, there should be a different one. That one. Thank you. Did they all get this one? Thank you. Okay. Should have 2 maps, Mr. Chairman.
I don't know how to read those, Representative
I
Larson.
know, that's why I give them, okay, good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Boyd Larson, House District 54. And appreciate you taking the time to look at this. The Department of Transportation has been trying to find another location to put their facility in Lander for District 5, which was built in 1939 and sits on 3 acres. And if you come into Lander from Riverton or from, it's right there, that intersection where McDonald's is at. And it's just this small 3 acres. And the trucks that it was built for in 1939 are about like a Ford 350 or 550 today. You know, it just doesn't have enough room to get everything into place. They've been looking actively since 2007 to find a place to work on their 97 total pieces of equipment. They can't store all their equipment there on 3 acres. They have to store some on some out where they have a gravel pit. So they've been looking. Over the years, they found various sites. One of the things that that's important is that it not be too far off the highway. It'd be easy to turn in and turn out with trucks and trailers, those of you that do that. And the land is at close proximity to utilities. We've identified some property that's associated with the Life Resource Center. Second map, Mr. Chairman. And with the Life Resource Center, when that was created, there was a few hundred acres of property that was associated with that because they ran an agricultural community. They had pigs, they had dairy cows, they raised beef, they raised hay, and it was kind of a self-sustaining. As the model for taking care of people with intellectual disabilities has evolved over the year, the campus is as it currently sits. And so we approached the Department of Health to inquire if we were to take 31.1 acres. We identified some property, took 31.1 acres. Would that impose or cause problems with any future expansion for the Life Resource Center? Director Johansson can verify, but our understanding is that it would not and wouldn't impose any problems to them. So that's what we're trying to do here with this 31.1 acres. This is a bill that we've been brought forth last year. We didn't get it on the floor. This year, as we was working this again and had the city of Lander looking and working with us, they says, geez, if you're doing that, what are the chances? Because we really have housing needs. We don't have enough place to do affordable housing. Is there a chance that we could also become owners of some of that property if the Department of Health doesn't use it? And so you see three other parcels there, the 33.9 acres, the 20.2, and the 35.1 that in this bill then would go to the city of Lander. They currently have streets that come up and dead end at those properties. And so again, inquired of Director Johansson. He was kind enough to say that he trusted me and that he thought that I know, right, that it would work. So in essence, that's what this bill does, and would be happy to ask questions or answer any questions that you have.
Committee, do we have any questions for Representative Larson? Representative Garner?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Thank you, Representative Larson, for presenting this. I'm just trying to make the numbers work here. So I see on page 1, you talk about on line 14, 28.94 acres. And then on page 3, line 21, 90.87 acres. And I'm trying to match that up with the exhibits that you've presented here as well. So I'm trying to figure out which land is which, and the acreages aren't matching up, so I'm trying to understand.
Representative Larson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would go with the bill because YDOT done the legals, which are in the bill. We put this together for a figurative, and when YDOT comes up, we can confirm it. But Pete Halstead from that oversees YDOT at that time, when we asked them to put the legals together, so we made sure that we had it right and sent their survey crew out there and provided the legals for the drafting of the bill.
Follow-up? Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So then we're talking about on the exhibit that has 4 different parcels with acreages. Can you identify for me, starting at the top left and going clockwise, which ones we're talking about?
So the one to the Department of Transportation, Mr. Chairman, would be the one on the map that shows a 31.1 that we would say is 28.94 acres. Then the other 3 parcels accumulative would be the 90.87 8-7. That goes to the, thank you for catching that, Representative Guerin.
Committee, any further questions for Representative Larson? Seeing none, Representative Larson, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll just go ahead and call you both up. Just make sure we're quick and easy here. Get you in front of the firing squad. We'll start with YDOT. YDOT's the one that needs the space, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee, Keith Fulton, Chief Engineer for the Wyoming Department of Transportation. So as was noted, yes, we are sitting on 3 acres and the current buildings and the site are just too small for our staff and the equipment that we have to operate. So we can't park like the snow removal vehicles indoors many times. And so with the new DEF requirements and things like that, it's sometimes a struggle to keep them warm and keep them started. And so this would be a great piece of land for us to use with a good size. We'd like at least 10 acres and preferably 20 for these type of sites, and this would fit those requirements. And it would allow us to bring all of our staff into one location. Currently, our highway patrol and our driver services are in separate buildings, leasing space, and this would allow us to bring everyone into one location.
Any questions for Mr. Fulton? So I have one, and this kind of seems a little out of the ordinary, but for my days back on the Planning Commission, we did traffic impact studies quite a bit. And my discussion or maybe concern is the increased amount of traffic that would be coming down in these neighborhood areas. Was there discussion with the neighborhoods and or what would that look like? That's my first question. Representative Larson?
So, Mr. Chairman, thank you. And I might take that just a little bit further as the highway goes by. Is there adequate space to make turns? And indeed, it's 4-lane there. Then where you turn in off the highway, you're really entering in. It's not a residential neighborhood as part of the Life Resource Campus. And you'll be going by one public building that is currently owned by the Central Wyoming College.
My secondary question is, I think this is probably, and actually Representative Larson, this is for you. Well, actually it might be for both of you. So we're going to move the land. We're going to do this with the land. What's the opportunity of actually getting a building created and doing something with that land in the said future? Lloyd didn't want to take that one.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I will. I've asked that question too, but the response is it's hard to put funding and set funding aside if you don't have land.
Okay.
So get land, then whenever.
Start scratching
right?
Keith, do you have anything to add to that?
Mr. Chair, we are actively working on what we call a facility improvement plan, where we're looking at every building within the state. And from that, we would come up with a list of improvements and buildings that we'd want to work on. Of course, as the directors mentioned, we've prioritized roads over facilities. And so until, with the fundings available, that's what we would do.
Representative Larson?
At our STIP meeting, maybe a month ago, we were informed that of all the facilities, this is the highest priority, trying to get this done.
I know from my days working and traveling up there, even getting my car filled up with gas was kind of a pain to get in and out of there. There was other people coming around there, so. Director Johansson, welcome to Transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Stefan Johansson, Director for the Department of Health. We don't see any impact negatively to our operations at the Life Resource Center with these land transfers. Appreciate the work that's been done by Representative Larson and our discussions with YDOT on how to make this work. But as Representative Larson mentioned, our campus has, in terms of its utility, has shrunk pretty greatly since the 1970s when the campus was at its height. So we do have quite a bit of acreage used for different leases over the years. So this could represent a good opportunity for YDOT and in this version of the bill, the city of Lander. Mostly here just to answer the committee's questions about the Life Resource Center if you have them.
Committee, do we have any questions for Director of Department of Health? Yes. Representative Posey, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just wondering, it's not outlined really on a map, but how far does the Life Resource Center land go down? I mean, does it go down by the CWC Outreach Center and doesn't go any further south, does it?
Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Posey, I'll have our ex officio king of the Lander campus correct me if I'm wrong, but you're right. By that Central Wyoming College building, that's about as far as the campus would go. The parcels that you see on the map there are relatively distant from the campus that we're operating with clients and residential services. So again, when these things come to me, our first concern is client disruption, whether that's traffic, noise, equipment, et cetera. And we don't believe that would be an issue here. But to your point, Representative, the Life Resource Center campus and the land that the Department of Health owns is expansive. So we believe that this is workable.
Mr. Chairman.
Representative Larson.
And to go along with that, the Department of Health just completed a fence all the way around the campus. So as people, really to make sure that those individuals who sometimes like to wander would have a very difficult time in getting out and maybe wandering into this part of the world where the YDOT is at. There's gates. And then just note that the CWC campus is actually leased land from the Life Resource Center.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Representative Garner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Another quick question here, I'm trying to understand here, and maybe you covered it earlier and I missed it, but access for YDOT back onto roads would be across the parcel being conveyed to, no. Where would that access to existing roads?
So if you look, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, on Dillon.
Representative Larson.
Thank you.
So Mr. Chairman and Representative Geringer, right there where you see that little window that says 31.1,
Mhm.
just to the left of that is Enterprise Boulevard. So you would come into the parcel right there at Enterprise Boulevard, go to the left, and that red line is the highway. Does that make sense?
Larson, I'm gonna follow up with that. I think this is where he was coming from, that if we were going to do the city of Lander, it looks to me at that point, there would need to be some sort of an easement or something like that going through the 31.1 acres to reach the rest of it except from Dillon.
So, Mr. Chairman, thank you. So if you look at Enterprise, the word Enterprise, and right there at R and I, if you come down below that, you see a street. It's lined out. That comes right down and comes in, joins the 35.1 acres that is shown to be state land or that would convey over to the city. And then if you come down there where you can see a Mount Arthur Loop road in the residential area, there is also a street that adjoins or comes up to the 35.1 acre parcel. Then if you come down a little bit further and see the Dillon Street or Dillon Drive, and there's a little green rectangle, right past that rectangle is where that street ends, also going into that. So there's 3 accesses into the residential properties.
Perfect. Thank you. Committee, any further questions for state agencies or Representative Larson? Seeing none. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Stephen.
Do we have any public comment on this? Seeing none, we'll close public comment and bring the bill back to the dais. Committee, what's your pleasure? Moved by Geringer, seconded by Wiley. Committee, do we want to screw around with this and just change numbers and just see what happens? All right, committee, I think this bill, I don't want to mess around with it too much just because we do have those legal descriptions in here. So I think unless there's any objection, I'm going to go ahead and just move this straight to a vote. Seeing none. Okay. Corey, if I can have you call roll on House Bill 69.
Mr. Chairman, this is a roll call vote for House Bill 69. Representative Banks?
Aye.
Representative Geringer?
Aye.
Representative Larson?
Aye.
Representative McCann? Representative Nicholas?
Excused.
Representative Posey?
Aye.
Vice Chair Tarver?
Aye.
Representative Wiley?
Aye.
Chairman Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 ayes, 1 excused.
Thank you, Corey. And Representative Larson, take this one out on the floor. All right. Committee, thank you very much. Good work. We got 4 bills in an hour and a half, and you still got 9 minutes to go use the restroom. With that, we're adjourned.
Great.